Hello everyone, welcome to Shop Dev Tips. In this video, we are going to have a look at the tuple class in C#. So it is a very important concept and easy to understand. And so let's begin by our traditional way with an introduction. So first, a tuple is a generic class. Okay, it was introduced in .NET Framework 4.0. So it is basically a data structure that contains a sequence of elements of different data types or same data type, depending on your needs. And it is used where you want to have a data structure to hold an object with properties, but you don't want to create a separate type for it. You don't want to create a separate class or a structure. Okay, and a tuple can have at most 8 elements, but can include more elements if you nest other tuple objects in the rest property. Okay, so basically here when you create a tuple class, you have at most 8 parameters. The last one, it is recommended to be a tuple, which is a tuple, but you can have tuple at any position inside the tuple. Okay, but it is recommended to have it at the 8th position. So see an example. So there are two ways to create a tuple. First, you have a static helper class with a create method, where you can create at most 8 elements in a sequence. See example here 1 to 8. Or you can use the new operator to create a new instance of a tuple by specifying each type. And the last one must absolutely be a tuple. Well, we'll see that a little bit more in detail in the later slides. Another example that would be a single element tuple, like you can do a tuple.create, okay, and assign it to a typed data type like tuple int. Okay, so it's another example where you will have typed tuples with type elements, and you can use it via the tuple create operator. Okay, but these types must match in the declaration and what you're creating. Okay, so two ways, bear in mind. Okay, and now let's have a look at the common usage scenarios where you use the tuples. So when you have to return multiple values from a method, so without using the ref and out parameters, or you have to pass multiple values to a method through a single parameter. So basically when you're using threads, for example, when you have the parameterized thread start, and also it avoids you to create a new type. Okay, for example a class or struct, like I mentioned before, to hold temporary values from a database record, for example. Okay, so let's now have a look at the APIs and the terminology being used. Okay, but it's not important to know it by heart, just to know, for you to know that you have 8 overloads of the create, ranging from 1 parameter, type parameter, to 8 at most. Remember, the last one is always and must be a tuple. Okay, so 1 parameter, it is a singleton for 2 pair, triple for 3, quadruple for 4 elements, quintuple for 5 tuple element, sextuple for 6, septuple or octuple for 7 and 8 respectively. So these are the terminologies that are used for tuples with multiple elements. But well, it's good to know, nice to know, but not no need to know it by heart. Okay, so let's have a look at how to create tuples. Okay, so well, like mentioned in the first introduction, at the beginning, so you have 2 ways to create it. So you have tuple.create, or you can use the new operator to create a new tuple instance. But remember, the last element must always be a tuple, nested. Okay, so there's a difference between these two styles. Okay, here when you're using the static helper class, okay, So the last element is always considered as a tuple here. We'll see it in the demo shortly. And the first one, in the second declaration, if you specify an integer here, okay, so see, like here with this plotty free, I've specified 8 integers, 8 elements, 8 integer elements. But when I run it, when this line of code is executed, you get an argument exception stating that the last element of an 8 element tuple must be a tuple. Okay, so bear in mind there is a difference between these two ways of creating tuples. Here the last one is inferred to be a tuple, and here you must absolutely specify a tuple. Note that there's no static check here, so you won't get a compiler error, but at runtime, when this piece of code is executed, it says you that you have an argument exception. Okay, so that's the difference between these two styles of creating tuples. And well, this is the most preferred way, the static helper class. Okay, and also one more piece of information here is that nested tuples, well, you can have it at any location, okay, be it at position 1, 3, or 5, anyone, but it is recommended that you use it for in the last position to extend your existing tuples. Okay, so that's about tuple creation. So let's have a look with the demo. Okay, so I'll be creating simple tuples. Okay, so I'll show you briefly how to access these elements. Okay, so my first way to create a tuple of 8 elements via the static helper class. Notice this one is considered as a tuple, not as an integer. And here with the new operator and a nested tuple with 2 elements. Okay, also here like we showed in the slide, with 1 element, okay, a singleton, and this is a pair tuple with 2 elements. Okay, so we'll have a look at these. So let's see how they work. Let me position that correctly, and we do a step-by-step just to understand. Okay, so we'll see the output as 1. Okay, so let me create my tuple. So tuple 1 and 2 created. Okay, so here this is how my tuple is shown. Okay, I have 7 elements. So notice that each element in this tuple can be accessed via item 1 to 7. Okay, in the last one you have the rest, and you have only one member, 8. Like I mentioned, this one is always considered as a tuple. See in the evaluation. Okay, and also we check the item 1 and the item 2. Okay, so see here when I'm displaying the first element, okay, T1, the item 1, my value is 1. Okay, and here I'm accessing the last element, which is the rest parameter, to access it. So it is displaying as a tuple. See the square, the round brackets. And my second element, okay, the first item is 1 displayed, and if I access the second element, which is the rest.item 2, so I'm getting the value of 9 as a string. Okay, and let's also check for the singleton tuple, sorry. Okay, so here should be displaying 1, and for this 1 as a word. Okay, so this is the results. So this is how you create tuples and you access these elements in your program. Okay, so next we are going to have a look at accessing tuples a little bit more in detail. Okay, so but before that, I wanted to show you my explanation about the lost parameter. So see here, when you access the lost parameter, you specify here as an int instead of a tuple. So just showed you, your program will throw an exception at runtime because the lost element is not a tuple. You are specifying a single value. Okay. So let's check. So lost element is an integer instead of a tuple. So see, you get the argument exception. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so next point, we're going to have a look at accessing tuples again. Okay, so like I said, you need to create when you are creating a new instance, you need to specify explicitly that this is a tuple, the lost element. And if you want to access each item of these, so you should use t4.rest.item1 and t4.rest.item2. Okay, so let's check this. We already seen it, so let's check the output quickly. Okay, I'll run my program just to see the output. So see here, so the first element like is 1, fifth element is 5, 7, and if I access my 8th element here, in this case I don't have numbers but words, string, so it's like returning, displaying a tuple on the screen, 8 and 9. And to access each element in the nested tuple, I use the rest item1 dot and item2. Sounds good? Great. So let's proceed with our next point about tuples. So you can also use tuple as parameters. Okay, so see in this example, I'm creating a tuple, okay, and assigning the student variable and have a point tuple method. Okay, so this is the way that you specify tuple in your methods, specifying each type in the right order, each nested element type here. For example, but my here first element is string, it matches, should be matching. Second string should be matching, and third one integer should be matching. And again, like you use the item 1, item 2, and item 3, and so on to display these values. So quick demo. So just having my print tuple method. So let me clean up this. And let's invoke that method. Okay, we'll just step through and see what's the behavior. Okay, so let me run the program again. Okay, so I created a tuple student. Okay, so assume that this is being retrieved from the database and I want to display it. Okay, item 1, item 2, and 3. So see how it is stored. And then to access it, I'm displaying the first name, last name, and ID on the screen. So let's check my output. First name, last name, and ID being displayed successfully on the screen. Sounds good? Okay. So next point and final point about tuples is you can also use it as a return type for your methods. Okay, so let's have a quick demo, but before let me clean the piece of code so you have a here a method. So I'm like again returning a tuple, return type, creating inside, and each of my element should be matching the generic parameters definition. Okay, so simple method. Okay, let me add my get student method. And let's use both. Okay, so let's check how it works quickly. So my new method is being invoked. I create a tuple, return it, assign to my student object. Okay, so my values are here, and then I print it. Okay, so this is how it is being displayed. See, it matches. So proved. About tuples. Okay, so that was my final demo. Hope you liked the video, guys, and if you like my video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Thanks. Bye bye.